Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about my rafting trip down, like, I want to say it wasn't the Amazon River, but to the Amazon in Bolivia. I will say before I say anything else that this was one of the highlights of my trip. And even though, even if it sounds like it was a horrible experience, it was not. It was by far one of the best things, coolest things I did, if not my whole entire trip throughout South America and Central America. But okay, that said, so I decided to do a rafting trip, and this rafting trip starts off, you can start off in La Paz or in Coroico in Bolivia. I started off in Coroico, had a crazy bus adventure to get there. That is in a previous video that I did, if you want to hear that crazy bus ride experience. But I'm going to start with the first day of my rafting trip. So we make it to this hostel at like 2 in the morning. I'm with two French, like a French couple, which knows Spanish, English, and French, which is perfect because they could translate for us. And then I'm with this Australian girl who's traveling by herself, so it was perfect for me and her because our Spanish was horrible, and we're both traveling by ourselves, so it was really cool to have someone else to hang out with that was traveling by themselves. So we wake up the next day, and or the same day since we got it at 2 in the morning, and we officially meet the tour guide, and he is just the cutest Bolivian guy ever. And he makes us breakfast, and he shows us our raft. And our raft is literally made of like inner tubes, sticks that he must have cut down that morning, tied together with ropes. And I had all my luggage on with me, including my computer and cameras and everything. And at this time I didn't have a GoPro or anything, so none of my cameras were waterproof, which is kind of a shame because I didn't take as many photos. Most of these photos the French couple took, so because they had a GoPro. So credits to them because I might have stolen some pictures, I'm not sure. They gave me some pictures at the end. But it's a 6-day trip down the river to Rumbaki, which is the place to go to the Amazon in Bolivia. Now I want to go to the Amazon in Bolivia because I heard it's the cheapest place to go to the Amazon, and it was pretty cheap. So compared to other prices that I was quoted, yes, it is one of the cheapest places to go to. However, this rafting trip was around $250, which upped the price a bit, but totally worth it because it's 6 days, all food, transportation is a raft, but other things included from La Paz, and it's 6 days worth of like it's camping, but 6 days worth of expenses. So the first day we get on this raft, he has these like airtight waterproof barrels to put in electronics and stuff like that. You put your main packs into these little like waterproof bags that you tie up yourself, and basically that's what you sit on for the entire trip. It's kind of like a pillow that you lay on, so you kind of like stick your butt through through the sticks, and you just kind of stick your butt, either it's on a tube or in the water because it's really hot, so your legs are dangling in the water, your arms are dangling, your butt's dangling. If you ever just want to hop in and take a swim, you can. Certain places you can't because there's rapids or there's big fish, but there's crazy things in that water. The Australian girl of course knew everything that was in that water, and I told her, don't tell me what's in the water because I want to go swimming in it, and I'm kind of afraid of fish, so I just didn't want to know what was in there. First day we stop at a waterfall, and it's so we get there and there's this kind of like husband, wife, and a baby that kind of lives there. And our tour guide was like, okay, all your passports and stuff is coming with me. So he has this big like waterproof case, and anything important goes in there, because I don't know if he thought someone was gonna steal stuff from a raft, but he's like, you never know. And I'm not sure exactly if he thought that the family was gonna steal our stuff, but when we came back, they like gave us a pineapple for supper, and it's really nice. So I don't know what he thought, because the rest of the trip he never cared about keeping the passports and stuff safe, just at that one first stop. So it's probably a 45-minute hike to the waterfall, and you have to climb up these rocks, and if you have any body insecurities, they go out the window, because you're getting wet, it's hot out, so you're in your bikini and you're climbing rocks, so you're spreading your legs. It's not too flattering for anyone. So you finally make, so you're climbing, you finally make it to the waterfall, and then you're thinking, so you swim in the waterfall, and then you're thinking, oh, it's gonna take longer going back because we have to crawl down. But on the way back, you just keep jumping off all the little waterfalls, which is a lot of fun. But I had contacts in, so I couldn't jump off too many, because when you jump off with contacts, like, I feel like you're gonna fall out. But it was still so much fun. And then we stopped there, and he was showing us at the rubber trees, how to get rubber trees, and that family that's there at night, for some reason they do it at night. He goes around and collects the rubber trees, and then he sells the rubber to the cocaine farmers. Yep. So maybe that's why he thought he was a baddie, because he supplied rubber to cocaine farmers. I don't know. Bolivia is known, it used to be Colombia, now it's like Bolivia and Peru that are known for cocaine plantations, farms. So yeah, the rest of the trip we're passing lots of cocaine fields, and our guy just kind of stopped whenever he saw a spot to stop. There was no designated spot for us, so sometimes he would like pull over and there'd be dogs barking and stuff, and he'd be like, okay, can't stop there, that's a cocaine farm. And there's also along the river, there's lots of people mining for gold, but the companies were owned by like Germany and China and stuff, so the Bolivians weren't making the money from the gold. Out of country companies were making the money from Bolivia's resources, which is kind of really sad, that they're giving all their resources away. It's a poor country, so they kind of need to put that money to themselves, not to other countries. But that's the same with every country, I guess. The food was really good the whole time. Like, it's a typical guy who just kind of bought a bunch of food, and then kind of, it's a lot of like rice and noodles and like carbs and stuff, but he just made like way more than we ever wanted or needed. So the second day, but the first day and a little bit of the second day, you kind of have like bottled water, but the rest of the time you're filling up your bottled water from natural springs, so it's kind of dirty. So if you have a preference on clean water or stuff, you have to toughen up and just drink spring water, otherwise you don't get any water. So, and then the whole entire time our tour guide is trying to catch a fish to eat for dinner, and I don't like fish, so I didn't really care, but the rest of the group wanted fish. So he's such a guy. He was just like, every night he'd just be like, I almost got one. It was like this big, and we're like, yeah, sure it was. And then when he finally did catch one, it was like this big, and it was probably bigger than that. And we're like, oh, it's a big one. He's like, this one's small. We're like, yeah, of course, there's bigger fish in the sea for you. But the fourth and fifth day, I think it was the fourth day, that was just, it wasn't, we got a fish off the raft, which was really cool, but it wasn't very like any activities off. Is like a long day. on the raft, and we just got eaten by mosquitoes. Like, our backs were covered. We were wearing like socks as gloves. We were wearing, it's so hot, but we were wearing like, had hoods up. We had our long sleeves on. We had pants on because the mosquitoes were just horrible. Everyone had a different reaction. Like the Australian girl, she couldn't walk because her feet swelled up so bad that she couldn't walk. My feet swelled up a little bit. I got little red dots that really itch, but it didn't really look like I had much, but they did itch. The French couple, they just got big, massive, one got like a red dot with like white, and the other one was just all red dots. It was just horrible. And our tour guide just, I don't know, wasn't getting bit. I don't know, they're just used to it. Alright, we did have bug spray. We would put it on, it maybe lasted about 5 minutes, and then they would be back. So it just didn't work. There's just too many of them, and we were going very slow. We were on water. It was just bad. At night we camped. So I shared a tent with the Australian girl, and then the couple shared a tent. Not sure if I'm not a big fan of tent or camping, but I mean, whatever is the experience. The 5th day there's lots of mosquitoes as well, but we are already so bitten up. The 4th day I had like a bikini on, and like I was changing or something, and they're like, oh my gosh, your back looks so bad. And the 5th day I was like, okay, take a picture of my back, and they're like, oh, it's all gone, you can't see anything anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean? So I didn't get my picture, but I did take a picture of my back, and you can't hardly see anything. Then he kind of gives you, the 5th day, he kind of gives you this tour of the jungle, but by then we're just hot and tired and just covered in mosquitoes that we're just like not having it. So it was a pretty cool, it would have been a cool jungle. It was actually the place that, if you go to Rafting, they do jungle tours where you can go like for like 3, 5, 6 days out into the jungle and do like jungle training and wilderness survival. That's the place he took us. So you wouldn't have to do that tour if you did the rafting tour, because he took you to that exact spot. The 6th day, we made it to Rafting, and they include a ziplining tour, which by then we were just tired. The Australian girl ended up not going because she couldn't walk because there's so many mosquitoes. But the French couple and I did, and it was the first time I went ziplining. I probably won't go again, but because I didn't hate it, but I didn't particularly enjoy it. I hated the first 7 times. There's 8 rounds, and I loved the 8th time, but it took me, I was freaking out because they kept saying stuff like, do, in Spanish, in my Spanish, they're like, do this, not this. And I was like, wait, what am I supposed to do and what am I not supposed to do? And I had to like clarify everything, so I was just nervous I was doing stuff wrong because they kept saying both what to do and what not to do, and I couldn't figure out what was what. So after the rafting trip, we made it to Rafting, and we literally show up to this town in this little raft, and we're covered in mosquitoes. So first thing we do, we stop at the pharmacy and we get some medicine for mosquito bites. Then we all go out for our last dinner together, and then, or for lunch, and then we all stay at the same hotel because our guide suggests a really cheap hotel, so we just go to that one. And then we go to dinner together, and then we kind of have to say goodbye to our guide. And the French couple, the girl had been to Rafting before, so they didn't do the jungle tour, but the Australian girl and I did the jungle tour, so a 3-day tour into the jungle in Rafting. And it's kind of the standard tour that you do when you go to Rafting. So you go out, and there's a whole bunch of companies. It's hard to say which one to go to. Our price was a bit cheaper because we went around to everyone and priced it out. Plus it was the tour guide's friend. that did it, and she just happened to have the cheapest price of everyone. I don't know if she gave us a discount price because we were friends with the tour guide or not, but it was substantially cheaper than the other tours. So the first day you go like I want to say 3 hours, it could be longer, Jeep ride to another river. And then you take a 3-hour boat ride to the lodge. And in that boat ride, you see just tons of animals. You see monkeys, you see caiman, tons of caiman, just tons of caiman. You see, caiman are like a smaller alligator, crocodile, from South America. So basically when I say caiman, I mean alligator. You see turtles, but I saw what I basically want to go to South America so I can see the capybara. Capybara. And I just freaked out. You saw tons of them on this tour. So, and they are the world's largest rodent. And I have a thing for ugly animals. The uglier they are, the more I like them. Like naked mole rats. Love them. So it was about 3 hours, and I swear I was in the most uncomfortable chair in the boat for 3 hours. So we get to the lodge, and you just kind of like chill out, and we're in a dorm type, and it's just mosquito nettings, and there's quite a bit. There's like 8 of us on our boat and our lodge, but there's so many other people on the lodge or on other tours. So like you see the same people every day because they have it set where every day you do certain. So the first day is the boat ride. The second day you go anaconda hunting. Anaconda. So you go anaconda hunting, and you go early every morning. You watch the sunrise, which I thought was stupid. So they give you these big boots to wear, like wellies, just rubber boots. They go up to about your knees. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, if anaconda comes, they're just gonna hit like rubber boots. So our tour guide, or instructor guy, was like, okay guys, so here's the deal. If you see anaconda, stop and cry. And he obviously, his English wasn't that good, but he obviously meant cry out, like yell, like there's an anaconda here. So then one of the tour guides can come and show people. And he's like, if you scare it, they might bite you. But all the girls were like, yeah, if we see anaconda, we are gonna stop and just start crying. Like, that's what we will do. So if you see us just crying, it means that we saw an anaconda. So to do this, you have to go there's like a swamp, and then like there's this muddy part. So you have to walk through the muddy part, and the muddy part goes up to your knees. So I was like, okay, I have like for my knees for protection of rubber. But no, your foot is in mud to your knees. So it's all that fleshy part that the anaconda can bite. And so you're just stepping and you're getting stuck in the mud, and I just didn't feel safe enough because our tour guide was off doing other things. So I was paying attention more to getting my foot unstuck than I was looking for anaconda. So I kind of bailed out and I went to the side and I was looking from the side, but no one saw anaconda that day. But there's plenty of other snakes that you can see. So we saw some dead anaconda and some dead stuff. The Australian girl swamped through the swamp and went to this little island in the middle, and that was crazy. She really wanted to see anaconda, but we didn't see any, which was okay. Like, it was hot out and I didn't want to be stuck in mud all day. So then we went, another thing was to go piranha fishing, which was so cool. I've always wanted to go piranha fishing. They're smaller than I thought, but like the big ones, we ate for dinner that night. And then the food was always good. Whenever you're on a tour in South America, the food is always good. And then the last day you swim with pink dolphins, freshwater dolphins, sweetwater dolphins, which I thought was gonna be amazing. Which it was pretty cool because like we were told before we went on tour, don't get in the water if there's less than 10 dolphins. We just went piranha fishing, right? So we know there's piranha in the water. We also know there's caiman in the water because we can see them like everywhere. And so we see the dolphins, and so if there's 10 or more dolphins, they scare away the piranha and they scare away the caiman because they're the dominant predator. But there was 4 dolphins, and our tour guide's like, jump in, jump in. So we jump in, and we see them, and everyone's swimming after them, so it's scaring them away. So now they're gone, and we're in the water with all the caiman and piranhas. Good idea. And the water's so muddy that I can't, if I put my hand under the surface, I wouldn't be able to see it. And the ground is just mud, so I'm just treading because I'm too afraid to like step on the ground, because that just mud on the ground freaks me out when there's piranha and caiman in there. And then I was like, even if a dolphin came up and like nudged me or something, I would freak out so bad thinking it was a caiman or something. I'm like, this is like, I saw it was cool, and the babies are blue. So they're cute, they're cool, but I don't want to be next to any of them. So I went back in, and most of the people are in the boat just watching the crazy kids looking, swimming after these dolphins. And finally the last guy in, there's this giant, we're kind of next to the trees and the side, and the side is where all the caiman are. There's the biggest caiman on the side, and this guy, like everyone else was getting on this side, but this guy decided to go on the other side and get on this side, and he didn't see the caiman. But everyone's yelling at him, including his girlfriend, being like, don't get in that side, there's the giant caiman. But he gets in. And then we're like, you were like a foot away from that guy that came in. And he looks over, he's like, oh! Also at night you go out and look for like the eyes, the red eyes with flashlights of the caiman, which is pretty cool. But the whole experience in the Rurambaki Amazon was just really cool. The rafting trip to get there, since I was with the Australian girl, everyone else on the tour, the jungle tour, is like, so how did you get into Rurambaki, or how did you get here? And they're like, oh, we flew, we took the bus. And my Australian friend and I were like, well, we took a 6-day rafting trip. Which was just a great story to tell, and just one of the highlights of my trip. I did end up taking the plane back. It's like $100 to take the plane back. So I think in the end I took the most expensive way to get to and from Rurambaki. Also in Rurambaki there's this cool little pool that overlooks the Rurambaki that we went to, and we just spent a day chilling poolside, and there's some really cool hikes that you can do in Rurambaki. Overall, I loved Rurambaki. I love the jungle. But I think that's all for my Bolivia trip. Because after that I went to La Paz, and then I went to Sun Moon Lake. I went to Lake Titicaca. So my next video will be on Lake Titicaca and Peru hop, which would have been Bolivia hop that I did. So I'll talk about Lake Titicaca, the Bolivian and Peruvian side. Alright, bye!